Welcome. We are continuing with our initiation to be parallel with the organization format of Rigved Samhita. Today we shall be visiting the conceptual formulation Pram Vyom. Pram Vyom has a simple rendering as a transcendental space. We are acquainted with the concept of a space as a formulation Akash, and today we are going to have a visit to the Tejomay Akash, the space fulfilled with the transcendental values. Tejomay Akash is a Param Vyom. Vyom is the formulation which accepts TC value 24, while Param is the formulation which accepts TC value 20. Value 20 we know is the synthesis value of pair of transcendence ranges of 0 order. Further, the value 20 accepts an organization 4 into 5, while value 24 accepts 4 into 6. So this is a reach of one more than before, ekadhikain purve. So it is a sequential reach. So Param Vyom formulation takes us to value 44, and 44 is the value which has an organization 4 into 11. Now this 4 into 11 organization as such will take us to a reach which in 5 steps, means when we are having say a 4 points, then it leads to 3 gaps, and likewise the 4 points will be parallel to the quadruple gaps of a range of 5 points range. So 5 points range leads to 4 gaps, and 4 points leads to triple gaps. Therefore, it sequentially is going to be reach from 4 to 5, and step ahead it is going to be 3, and on the other orientation it is going to be a 6. We are now at the sequential organization of 4 and 5. It is an inner fold, and the outer fold will be taking us 3 into 6 and 9. Therefore, we are reaching at a fold 9, and then this is having a sequential reach of first step of value 11, making 9 plus 11 20, and 20 plus 11 takes us to 31. On the other side, 9 minus 11 takes us to minus 2, and minus 2 minus minus 11 takes to minus 13. It is going to be a 5 steps range. See, this 5 steps reach with value 31 is a value which is one space playing the role of dimension of a 3 space. As we know that value 20 is the synthesis value of pair of transcendence ranges of a 0 order, so value 31 is going to be a synthesis value of the pair of transcendence ranges of a linear order. It is this way that value 31 takes us to a synthesis value of a pair of transcendence ranges 0 order. So param is of TC value 20 and it is parallel to the synthesis value of a pair of transcendence ranges of a 0 order. Now see the value 20 plus 24 is equal to 44. It is equal to 4 into 11, and this 4 into 11 would mean that if we are having a transcendental giant here, it is this transcendental giant which in the context of 10 place value system is a reach from 10 raised to power 0 to 10 raised to power 1. So from 0 index value to 1 index value is to be a reach, and it is this reach which will make the pair of values 4 as of organization 4 transcendental giant and 4, and it becomes value 44. Therefore sadhakas fulfilled with intensity of urge to be parallel to the organization format of the Vedic systems and Vedic processing systems, then the first thing to be seen is how we can proceed along a 10 place value system which has an organization format for the sequential place values of this format. So one thing to be seen is a 10 place value system. The second thing to be seen is that when we have to reach to a creator's space as a starting point with transcendental space as a origin of a 4 space, that means we have to have initiation with the organization format of creator, the supreme Lord Brahma. That means we have to start with a 4 space, and within the cavity of heart of Lord Brahma is a seat of a transcendental Lord, and it is this seat at which Lord Brahma, a 4-headed Lord, meditates and acquires the transcendental grace, and Lord Brahma multiplies as 10 Brahmas. As a result, hypercube of 4 transits and transforms into hypercube of 5, which is a setup of domain boundary ratio. The transcendental domain stands enveloped within a creative boundary of 10 components. Therefore, the 10 place value system unfolding process becomes the process of the format of the creative boundary of the transcendental domain. Therefore, to reach and to have coordination and to have parallel synthesis systems of 10 place value system and of the geometric formats of hypercubes of hypercube 5 means we have to go to 5 space as a domain from 4 space as a boundary. So it is a shift to the creative boundary. The 10 place value system, the number system, the Sankhya system as such becomes a system of the organization of the creative boundary of 10 components of a transcendental domain. So this space, which is because of the creative boundary, is different than the space which is of a 5 space as a domain. Today, our focus is how to glimpse, imbibe and be parallel with the Pram Vyom, the transcendental Tejomaya Akash. This transcendental space is a 5 space. This 5 space is to be reached. Now, we as students of mathematics are well acquainted with that rainbow is taking us to is 7 colors braids. this 7 colors bread as Vibgyor and rainbow as a Vibgyor brands, means if we go to NVF rain gives us 42, and if we go to NVF bow it becomes 40. It is this reach of 40 and 42. Now if we have a NVF for a formulation 5, then it takes us to 42, and if we have NVF for 9, then it as well takes us to 42, and if we have NVF for new, then again it takes us to 42. Therefore the space 5 space Tejo mein Akash Param Vyom is a new space. It is a 5 space, and it is this 5 space which will ultimately get folded as a 9 space, as we know that the 4 space is having 9 geometries range parallel to 9 numerals of a 10 place value system, and numeral 5 is of a middle placement. That means that this value 5 as a pankti, as a linear progression of 5 steps, means from the boundary as a 4 space we are reaching up till 5, and then it is a reach up till the middle. Step ahead, when we'll have 5 steps from the middle, it will be a reach at 9. And further we know that the spatial order 2 space in the role of a dimension of a 4 space will permit us simultaneous manifestation for interval as well as for a square within a surface. Therefore it is this reach which will help us appreciate as to how the rainbow and the formulation NVF5 as value 42, NVF9 also value 42, and it becomes a new system. These are the features which deserve to be comprehended well by us. Now see that this value 44 is the value of Pram Vyom. This Pram Vyom value as 20 and a 24, and in between we know we have jumped over value 22. See what is value 22. Value 22 is equal to 4 plus 5 plus 6 plus 7. It is parallel to 4-fold manifestation layer of hypercube 6. As such, the sadhakas are fulfilled with the intensity of urge to be parallel with the organization, format, processing steps of Rigved, Samhita and of the Vedic systems. Then we have to reach from the domain of a Lord Brahma to the domain of a Lord Vishnu. That means first we have to reach from 4 space to a 6 space, as 4 space as a creative dimension of self-referral domain, and here there is going to be a jump over a value 5, a 5 space. Now further we know that 6 as a dimensional value is a synthesis of a pair of creative dimensions. Therefore here when we are having a reach as a linear sequencing order, then we'll have a direct reach from value 4 to value 6, that we will jump from the creator's space to the Vishnu space, 4 space to 6 space, 4 space playing the role of dimension of a 6 space. But when we are having a reach from 4 space to 6 space, that means we are having a jump over the transcendental domain, that is over a 5 space. Now this jump over a 5 space happens as we know that 6 is equal to 4 into 4. That means actually when we say that we are reaching from 4 to 6 from dimension to domain, but in fact we are starting from a linear setup of a 4 space to a spatial setup of a 4 space. That means we are within the dimension of a creator space, that means 2 space playing the role of dimension of a 4 space. But within 4 space, we are having a interval and square both. It is this availability of two-phased processing within the spatial domain which is to be taken account of, and it is because of it that initially when we start with value 2, we straightway reach from 4 to 6. However, within 2 we know we will be having a pair of phases of a single axis and then as of a pair of axes. It is this reach of a single axis to a pair of axes which when is to be applied, then we will feel that if we would have continued in a linear steps, then from 4 we would have reached at 5. However, when we have shifted from linear to a spatial dimension, then we have reached from 4 to a 6. One can have a pause and see 1, 2 and 3 as a linear sequential organization, and 2, 4 and 6 is a spatial organization of a linear format. It is this jump which is to be halted, to be bridged, and we have to comprehend as to how we shall reach from 4 space to 4 space. Let us have a pause here. Let us sit comfortably. Let us be parallel to the processing steps within a line. So as a line steps, linear steps, from 4 we will reach at 5. However, when we will be on a spatial format, then within a spatial format, the 4 with the 2 steps will take us to 6. It is this jump which is going to happen from 4 space to 6 space is to be halted. We have to have a pause, and this pause is required to be face to face with the happening of the transcendental phenomenon. So from 4 space we have to reach 5 space, and then we have to go to a 6 space. We have not to reach straight from 4 space to a 6 space. We have to reach from 4 space to 5 space, and then from 5 space to 6 space we have to reach. It is here as well, the value 5 is 2 plus 3 and value 6 is 2 multiplied by 3. Therefore here as well it will become a very cautious situation that if we are having linear formatting, then 2 plus 3 will lead to 5. However, the spatial formatting will lead us to 2 into 3 is equal to 6. Therefore, at each step, we have to be cautious enough about the way the spatial dimension, which is of value 2, is having internal organization as a reach from 1 to a 2. It is this reach from 1 to 2 and this reach in terms of 2 itself are the distinctive features which deserves to be comprehended well. Therefore, when we will be here at say 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 steps, we know that plane is having a boundary components 4, means a square is equal to 4 b raised to power 1. However, we know that 2 space is having 5 geometries range. There are 5 versions of hypercube 2, because when we are having all the 4 components, when we can have 3 components, 2 components, 1 component and no component at all. As such, square is of 5 versions. Hypercube 2 is of 5 versions. These 5 versions would take us to this range minus 13, minus 2, 9, 20 and 31. Let us have a pause here. We have seen that within a square, we can have a line as well as a square. Now see, this format of a square and a line, if it is of this reach, then it will be making a printout for a 3-dimensional frame within a plane. That means the center of the plane, which is the seat of an origin of 2 space, means it is a 3 space. 3 space is playing the role of an origin of 2 space. Therefore, the center of a square at its 0 value is of a dual status. Firstly, it is a point of its surface, and secondly, it is a point of a solid origin. It is this feature which deserves to be comprehended well. Let us have a pause. Firstly, when we are working with a spatial dimension, 2 spaces a dimension, we have to be cautious that from 4 it will take us to 6. But when we will be processing within the plane itself, it is of 2 phases reaching us value 1 to value 2. Therefore, we will have a reach 4 to 5 and also we will have a reach from 4 to 6. Further, when we are having a value 4 to 6, and here when we will be having a cube as a origin, and we can have a setup like this, axis crossing both sides, and the pair of axes here for this. So we will have a split for 3-dimensional frame as of 6 half-dimensional frames. We have 3 dimensions, we will have 6 parts. Therefore, when this is a setup of a points of a plane, then instead of these 3 linear axes, it will provide us a 3-dimensional frame of triple spatial dimensions. If we are here as a third stage, first stage is we have to be cautious that when we are working with a spatial thing, spatial plane, axis, it will take us 4 to 6 as 4 plus 2. However, when we are passing through this surface, then it will be having a pair of phases, firstly as a single axis, then as a pair of axes. So at the initial phase, it will lead to value 5, then it will lead to value 6. Now, so when we are in the second phase, that means when we are at a plane within a plane, then we are in fact encircling the origin, the center, and it is a seat of a 3 space. Therefore, here when we are at the surface within a surface, then it again has 2 phases, value 2 as well as value 3. Now this value 2, when will be having addition operation, it will reach to value 5, and when it is a multiplication operation, it takes to value 6. Therefore, these are these triple distinct processing paths of working with a spatial dimension. So working with a spatial dimension is to be learned distinctively as a reach from 4 space to 6 space and reach from 4 space to a 5 space. And further, this reach from 4 space to 6 space and reach from 4 space to 5 space, will bring in a further situation when to reach from 5 space to 6 space and 6 space to a 6 space to a 5 space. This is the real learning phases for the sadhkas. Sadhkas are fulfilled with intensity of urge to be parallel with the processing steps of the organization format of Shakala, Rigved, Samhita. Then they shall first go sequential, which will take us 1, 2 and 3. Then if we are working instead of linear axis to a pair of axes, it will take us 2, 4 and to a 6. When here we are working with a line, then we know this line is having as hypercube 1 is set up of a pair of points, end points. So this makes 3 structural components. So 1 as a hypercube 1 takes us to the triple structural components. Now see, when we are having a hypercube 1, that means an interval with a pair of endpoints, it leads us to the triple structures. That means a single unit interval is taking us to 3 raised to power 1 components. So if instead of single unit, if we are having a pair of units of an interval with a pair of units, then we see it is leading us to 1 and 2, 3, 4 and 5. So it is equal to 5 raised to power 1. Now see, one space is having 3 versions. Means hypercube 1 is having triple geometries, 3 versions of hypercube 1. Now square is having 5 versions. Hypercube 2 is having 5 versions. Now see, if we are moving at a single unit, leads to 3 structural components. If we are moving with a pair of units, gives 5 components. If we are moving with the triple components, it gives us 7. And like that is the range. But if instead of it, if we are going to say the squares, then we know that one square means a square with length as a 1 unit and breadth as a 1 unit. Now see, this square is having how many? It is having 4 points, 4 perimeter lines and 1 area, 9 components. So this square of a single unit axis leads to 9 components. If instead of this we are having a pair of units for x-axis and y-axis, then we see it will lead to 25 structure components. Here 49 structural components. And if instead of a square we are going to a cube, then we see a cube with x-axis 1, y-axis 1, z-axis 1. Then its structural components are 27. If instead of 1 unit we are having a pair of units, then this setup of a cube with x-axis as 2, y-axis as 2, z-axis 2 will lead to split for a cube as 8 octants and has 8 subcubes, and structural components are going to be 125. This is 5, it is 5 raised to power 3. So when we had a single cube, it had led to 3 raised to power 3 structural components. When we had a 8 subcube setup of a cube, it has led to 5 raised to power 3 structural components. And like that this happens. It is this phenomenon which deserves to be comprehended well, happening at a geometric format beneath. And further we know that within a cube, we can have interval, square and cube as well. Now it is this feature happening which deserves to be seen in the context of these three tabulations for a split of a 3 space as 8 octants and so on. Let us for a moment have a pause here and let us revisit the Devanagari alphabet. Now Devanagari alphabet is, amongst others, is having one structural component as of 5 cross 5 consonants. These 5 cross 5 consonants means squares, 25 squares as these are. These accept a TCB values which for the first row is 15, for the second row is 20, third row is 25, fourth is 30 and fifth is 35, and total summation value is 125. It is equal to 5 raised to power 3, and we know 5 is equal to the geometries of a 2 space. Therefore 2 raised to power 3 cubes will be having 5 raised to power 3 components. As such, the geometric format of 5 cross 5 consonants is of value 125 parallel to the 125 structural components of 8 octants, 8 subcubes. And here one can have a pass that when we write each row in the form of a first letter and the vowel is the third vowel, it means we are pointing out that each square is having 3 space in the role of an origin, and as such this structural components reach is to be by approaching each square in terms of a dimension, third dimension as a vertical axis. And further we have to see it will take to a 3 raised to power 3 means we will be having a split for dimensional frames as well. Therefore the sadhakas fulfilled with intensity of urge to be parallel with the organization format features of Rigved Samhita in particular and of Vedic systems in general, they shall revisit the format of 5 cross 5 varga consonants and why the each row is taken as a ka varg, cha varg, ta varg, ta varg and pa varg, and how this value of TC value 125 is taking us to the value of the 8 subcubes structural components. The another point which one shall be conscious enough and with which one is to be well acquainted, it is that this value 125 is the value of Panchamahabhut, Prithvi, Apa, Agni, Vayu, Akash, which further takes to 3 steps of Surya, Sun, Dhruv, pole star, and beyond a Dwarka. These are the 8 steps sequential organization which as Prithvi takes to value 25, Apa 8, again 14, Vayu 13, Akash 8, Surya 13, Dhruv 19 and Dwarka 25. This summation value is 125. Therefore, the sadhakas fulfilled with the intensity of urge to be parallel with the organization format of a Sankhya Nishtha and Yoga Nishtha and parallel to the way the Rigved Samhita stands organized and the way the values and features of Rigved Samhita go parallel with the entire range of Vedic literature, then they shall first of all be face to face with the organization format of the Varga consonants, and as a next step they shall be face to face with this 8 steps long reach of Panchama Bhut, followed by the next 3 steps of the Surya, Dhruv and Dwarka, and then have a comparison of the same with the structural components of 8 subcubes as bodies as 8 octants of a 3 space. Here it will be blissful that Lord Krishna is of 125 years age existence phenomenon. The age of Lord Krishna is 125. 125 is the value of the Panchama Bhut and triple steps ahead. It is the value of the 5 cross 5 Varga consonants. It is the value of the 8 subcubes as 8 octants of a 3 space. Therefore, this mathematics, this organization deserves to be approached afresh in the background of the formulation Varan, means each letter, each Varan, these Varans, these letters as a formulation Varan is leading us to value 18, and the formulation Krishna is taking us to value 19, and we know that 19 points range will be leading us to 18 gaps. So these Varans, these letters of Devanagari alphabet are the letters of the gaps. So the gaps are being chased, valued as Varan, as letters. So the letters of Devanagari alphabet are potent enough for having the values of the gaps. So bridging of the gaps for the discrete ranges to make it a continuum, the requirement is that these letters are to be of placements of value 18 for the gaps of 90 points range of a Krishna, which would mean a black color. Therefore, this white color organization and the black color organization, that means the black matter of a pole star and the white matter as a light of the sun of a Surya, are to be simultaneously chased. For this simultaneous chase, we have to be acquainted with the different formulations which accept TC value 18. And one of the formulations is a rang. This formulation, with simple rendering is color, is the formulation which is leading us to value 18. Therefore, the colors of a rainbow as a Vibgyor, these colors are the cover. These colors are the covers for the gaps of the discrete ranges, and it is in terms of these colors, in terms of these covers, that the continuum is being attained. Therefore, the sadhakas are fulfilled with intensity of urge to be parallel with the organization format features of Rigved Samhita as a range of 4,32,000 points. These are the structured points. These are the points of a Tejomaya Akash. These are the points of the transcendental space. These points are fulfilled with the values of a 5 space. So these 5 space values fulfilled these points when become a discrete points. Therefore, the 5 space points, these points structured with 5 space are having these gaps. Now, between first point of value 5 and second point of value 5, there happens to be a gap. It is this gap which as a pair of dimensions, transcendental dimensions, will synthesize as a value 7. It is this synthesis value of Rigved. These 7 colors of rainbow is a synthesis value of a pair of transcendence ranges. Now we know that a raised to power 6 is to 12b raised to power 5 is the domain boundary ratio of a 6 space enveloped within a transcendental boundary of 12 components, Dvadas Adityas. So here are 5 space as components. These 5 space components are 12 in number. So these discrete 12 points, as these are in a cyclic order, are also having the 12 gaps. So a transition from a linear organization to a circular organization makes the gaps equal to the discrete points themselves. Therefore, this continuum, as it is being reached by synthesis of the transcendental points, the Akash Tattva, so these pair of points, and then here we know 12 is equal to 5 plus 7. And further know, each are 5 points away, this gives value 25, and here we get a value 35. Further we know 5 plus 7 is 12, while 5 into 7 is 35, and total value is 47, and it is a difference value of 236 letters of Ganita Sutras and 283 letters of Ganita Sutras. This way, there is a complete mathematical system, and this mathematical system is chasing the existence phenomenon of continuity being attained in terms of the colors for the discrete entities within a space. It is this continuum which is to be chased, and for it will be blissful exercise if we tabulate the formulations of TC value 18s, the first of which will be Varan, means the letters of the Devanagari alphabet. The second formulation shall be Rang, which means a color, means a Rigved, and these rainbow colors, their organization, their sequential order, and then we can reach at Prakriti, nature, then to Ishwar, God, then Vidya, Bhav, Mukt, Yoni, and it will be taking us to 18 to 20. How this Prithvi, how this mundane content is having a Gandh in it, reaching how from 18 as a dimension will be reaching at 20 as a domain. Then the formulation Vidhi, Shunni, Ganit, Vastu, Shashvat, Vishya, Yudh, Srishta, Tritya, Matra. See, value 18 is the value of hypercube of 5. 5 space Lord has having 5 heads. It has a triple eyes in each head. It has a self-referral Lord seat. Lord Vishnu is seated within the cavity of the heart of the Transcendental Lord, and it is having a creative boundary. Brahma multiplies as 10 Brahmas, and it is leading to value 18. Therefore, when we want to be parallel with the mathematics, sciences, technologies, in terms of the discrete points of a space as a content, then we have to follow the values of features of TC value 18 formulations. And you know how many would be the formulations of value 18? So when we have a range from 1 to 18 and we want to make the summation values as 18, it would be a frequency 2 raised to power 17. We will be coming to it afterwards. It is in terms of it, we will be appreciating how there can be an organization of 4,32,000 transcendental space points. And further in the context, it would be blissful to take note that the values range 1 to 18 is having 33 factors. See, in the first column, write down the numbers 1 to 18. In the second column, write down the factors of these values, then count the number of factors and see the total factors are going to be 33. And this 33 would mean instead of, in addition to having this 5 cross 5, this space, we are in a 6 space. Then the 6 space is developed within a transcendental boundary of 5 components. These are 12 components which get organized as 5 plus 7 and 5 into 7. It is this pair of values which we know synthesize as a value 7. Now, this setup of 125 of equal to the 25 structural component, 8 components, and now there are in addition the 8 letters, the Anthastha letters. So this 25 plus 8 makes it a 33. So these 33 letters of Devanagari Varnamala and the 33 factors of the values range 1 to 18 and Dwadas Adityas, 11 Rudras, 8 Vashu and 2 Ashwin as 33 Devatas are the features which not only run parallel to each other, but these make a system of chase along the format of Shakala, Rigved, Samhita itself. This universe is being chased, this universe is being followed, this universe is being printed, this universe is being chased, this universe is becoming the Rigved Samhita. This system becomes the system of the Vedic knowledge. Therefore, these features, all these features as these are, deserve to be comprehended simultaneously as a system which is being chased as Sankhyanishta along the values of a numbers. This system being chased as Yoga Nishtha parallel to and along the format of the dimensional frames of the metric system. This system is being chased within the solar universe as Panchamahabhut and the Surya, Dhruv and Dwarka existence phenomenon. This system is being chased as an existence phenomenon within human frame. The modern mind, the modern students of knowledge, modern scholars try to pose, because of their ignorance, whether the Vedic systems can work out a DNA, whether the Vedic systems can explore the universe, whether the Vedic systems can have the technological breakthroughs which modern mind is having, say during the last decade, during the last century, or during the last 5 centuries? For all of them, my answer is that approach the Vedas the Vedic way, reach the Rigved Samhita, from Rigved Samhita reach the Shatpat Brahman, and moment we will be going through the values, format, features and processing steps of Shatpat Brahman, we will be blissfully coming face to face with as to how our ancestors have explicitly, specifically, detail-wise and step by step has exhaustively worked out the existence phenomenon within human frame from the birth to death to rebirth phases and stages of the Homo sapiens. Therefore, sadhakas shall sit comfortably, sadhakas shall go for the meditation, the Creator's way. Sadhakas shall sequentially melt the mental states and provide a consciousness format for their intelligence, and then have a further phase of meditation to have a self-referral format for the consciousness base of the intelligence, and then be face to face with the way the Shatpat Brahman is approaching the existence phenomenon of Homo sapiens as a birth, death and rebirth cycles and sequential unfolding processes, and also simultaneously to have a chase, an outer chase of our solar universe in terms of Panchma Bhut reach to Surya, Dhruv and Dwarka, and then have a comparative, comprehensive view in terms of insight and enlightenment of the Vedic systems. Thank you very much.